Hello, listeners. Welcome to Freelance Friday with Vaycasey, a podcast all about freelancing through the experience and opinion of a current full-time freelancer. Today on the show, we got my friend Bradford Martens. He's a photographer and a good friend of mine. We were members at Weld in Dallas. Rest in peace, Weld co-working space
R.I.P.
for a few years.
Yep.
Bradford, tell the watchers and listeners about yourself, would you please?
Yeah, my name is Bradford Martens. I am a mostly destination photographer for weddings. So do some commercial work, but majority of what I do is weddings.
What have you always done just wedding stuff, like focus on that and the commercial stuff, or give me a little bit of your like background and how you got into this stuff.
So before photography, I actually does this need to stay closer here? It's
great.
Good.
It's great.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Before weddings, I actually played in bands, mixed records, mostly engineering, mixing, live stuff. So kind of how I started was took a trip by myself to Colorado, met some folks, took some photos, bought a DSLR, came back in town, shot a few friends' bands. And then a buddy asked me to shoot his engagement photos, and I was just kind of like, this sounds terrible. Like, this is cheesy. This is 8-9 years ago, and all I knew was just like really hyper saturated, cheesy, heart, hand, symbol stuff like photography.
Did you do the like desaturated with like the like color pops where like just certain things are in?
Maybe even like more sepia than anything. Just like lots of really beautiful,
really hard,
vivid clarity to 100 style stuff. And so he asked me, I agreed to do it, did it, had a really good time. And then somewhere in there ended up finding a guy whose work, Eric Clausen, and found his wedding work. And it was just different. It was storytelling based. It was beautiful. It was fine art. It was sexy. And I was like, I could do this for weddings. I would love to do this. So I reached out and interned with him for about a year. And that kind of like brought me into the wedding world. It was through that journey.
So what? That's cool. I didn't know that. What? So in the process of interning and reaching out to him, how did you go about that? Like, what was your method of like communicating him to him? What did you say? All of that.
Yeah. So back then, Twitter was the game, and he posted on Twitter looking for an intern, and so I'd followed his work, shot him a DM, was like, hey, me back then was probably real extra, just nerdy and nice. I was like, hey man, let me come intern or whatever. And he's like, yeah, it sounds great. So we met at like Payway and had a conversation. And funny story enough, actually, when I reached out to him, whatever, he was like, hey, meet me at Payway at like noon on a Tuesday. And so I was like, yeah, all right, cool, I'll meet you there. And so he's like, hey, I'll be the guy, the bald guy in a jacket. And I was like, this is actually a terrible story. And I was like, I'll be the guy in the wheelchair. And so for what we do shooting weddings, you kind of need to have, legs for that. And so anyways, he told me like later on, he freaked out and he was like, I have no idea. I was like, well, I guess I'll just do the meeting and then, we'll figure it out. But then sure enough, I came in and, and he was like, all right, cool. But we met at Payway through Twitter. Had a great conversation, and then shot a wedding the next day, and it was like a start.
So you didn't like tell him that you were messing with him until you showed up?
Until I showed up, yeah. For some reason in my mind, it was extra funny, and then I was like looking back, I'm like, that's not funny. It's just terrible. So, yeah.
So how long did you intern with him for?
I interned with him kind of on the books for a year, and then we stayed friends for a long time and shot weddings kind of all over for like the next 2-3 years, but some mine, some his, but for about a year of internship.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was he doing destination weddings too?
He was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of, you did that. And then I guess from there, I guess you started doing stuff on your own, freelancing kind of.
Yeah.
How did you start going about getting your brides, your clients and that?
Yeah. So the big start was when I interned with him, whatever, I had shot probably a handful of weddings, maybe 5 or 6, mostly for friends. And so then when I started shooting with him, I got access to just all kinds of amazing, beautiful weddings, great planners, high budget weddings, shot those. And then about 2 years into that, after I had my internship, Rangefinder magazine reached out and they asked me to submit for their top 30 up and comers in the world for weddings. And so I was like, this has got to be a fluke. But I submitted and I won that year. So 2012, I won that award, and that kind of like launched into some really cool stuff with that. And then just honestly, word of mouth is pretty key for weddings. Was on Junebug, did some advertising there, but a lot of it's just word of mouth, and most importantly, doing interesting work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've talked about this a bit, but would you agree that like you should only be showing the kind of work you want to get? Or what are your thoughts on like the type of work you show compared to the type of work you're wanting to get and how they correspond?
Yeah. I think there's a few different thoughts on like that, on showing what you want to shoot and all of that, because I think that if you have access to already the things that you want to shoot, then yes, keep showing just those things, right? Because you have access to it. If you don't, then your best bet is, because it's a job, you have to make money, shoot things and then like show the best version of that thing that you did. Show the best version of it. And then personal projects is the best way to, like, if you're shooting weddings or anything really and you're not passionate about what you're shooting, then find a way to get your hands on some images and some work that's gonna like that you're passionate about, and then just put that everywhere.
Yep.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
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 But also though too, I think like the perfectionism of it all is kind of, for me, was tough, because the way I came into it very fast because of Eric, because of the exposure from that and the magazine and rangefinder. So it was like I got given a lot of great stuff. And so for me, perfectionism was most of all of what I knew too, because it was like everyone sees my work now, they know it. There's lots of photographers watching, saying stuff. And so for me, it was almost crippling, because again, photographers and all that, they weren't my clients, but like what they thought mattered more to me than anything else. So here I am, like everything I'm doing, like I'm just like, oh, well, is it going to be good? And I wouldn't blog, I wouldn't show work, because I'm like, oh, it's not good enough for like photographers. And that mentality is not healthy or good. Like, show what you love, do what you love. Don't get caught up in the mentality of like, for anybody else besides yourself and your clients and your couples, couples, whoever.
Man, it's so easy to like get caught up in comparing to like other creatives and what they're doing, and like you have to get to a point where you just don't really care what they think so much.
Yeah.
Like everybody's paving their own path, everybody's doing their own thing. Like it's kind of cool if you're doing something nobody else is doing, because nobody else is doing it, right? Like and like even if it is something that somebody else is doing, like as
you're
long
still
as
you.
Yeah, it's you. You're doing it the way you would do it, and like, who cares? Just be true to yourself.
Yeah.
Do what you want to do. Who cares? You know, like, fuck what other people think.
I think yes. And I have thoughts on that too, on the fuck part, because like, yes, but then at some point too, like if things aren't working, then obviously that mentality is not gonna work, right? Because it's like you have to cater to something, to like to some kind of a clientele, to some kind of whatever. So it's like, fuck what everybody thinks, but then know what your ideals are and know what you're trying to get. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, I think, because like I feel the same way. I'm like, yeah, like if you don't like it, cool. I'll find someone who does, and maybe you will, maybe you don't. Yeah.
There is a point where like maybe your work actually is bad.
Right.
And like
totally,
you aren't good at what you do,
right,
and maybe you should just do something else, or maybe you just need to buckle down and work and get better at what you're doing.
Yeah.
But at a certain level, it just like
those things become not existent. There's other things. Yeah. No, totally. And that's the thing about photo. Like, and like, I do a ton of mentorships for people and like do teaching and all that. And it's like, sometimes you get someone, and I'm really honest, and like they'll show you your work, and I'm like, I don't think that you, like, listen, you can keep going, but if you want my opinion, I don't think that this is who you are. I think this is who maybe like you have this vision or fantasy about doing, but it's not really like your thing. Like, I'm telling you, there's things I can see in you that are better than this. Like, it's all photo related. So I'm like, I don't think photo is your thing, because it's subjective, but like there is still good and bad work, and there's work you'll get hired for, and there's work that's just for you because you like it, and maybe no one else does, and that's fine. But like, just know that maybe you won't build a career out of it like that, and that's okay.
So what I mean, like if you were talking to somebody new, it's like getting into freelancing, be it wedding stuff or just like anything in general, like what are like a few like tips that you would give them?
These days, for photo especially, I think it's changing a lot. The wedding scene is there's a lot of folks that are wedding photographers. So I think the biggest thing that I say is you need to really like hone in on not even so much like the photo portion of it's great, but these days in terms of weddings, like it all looks the same, right? So you need to like hone in on like your customer service, your personality, and just think about like ways that you can enhance like your couple's like lives. You know what I'm saying? Think about ways you can enhance the experience. Add value. Yes. Because these days, I mean, unless you're doing just some mind blowing stuff, the work is the work. And it's like, it's all very similar and it's all very similar looking. And so experiences, your personality, those are things that like no one else can like take from you. Like that's you.
And ultimately, that's the stuff that people are going to refer you for. I mean, how many times do you get people coming up to you at a wedding or after a wedding telling you how great of a job you've done and they haven't seen a single image that you've shot?
It's the funniest thing in the world. It really is.
For all they know, you haven't even turned the camera on all night.
No. I'm like, I haven't taken any photos. How do you know?
Like
we just know.
I don't shoot weddings anymore, but I used to. And I would get people coming up to me all the time going, you guys did such a great job tonight. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I think that just speaks volumes to how much the experience somebody has working with you,
how you made
them feel.
Yeah.
Now the work you do is important.
It has to back up that
good.
as well.
Like it needs to, they go hand in hand, but like experience and the way you treat people in relationships, like.
Yeah. I feel like too, advice wise, I kind of like, before I give too much advice, because these days I think it's all it's just different and like it flows so differently too. Like I kind of want to know a bit about them and who they are, because like you can be great at photography. And if you are amazing at photography, let's say you're amazing at moments or whatever, then you can get away with a lot less personality because your work is what your work is.
Right.
And vice versa. If your work is not great, but you have a personality and people love you, you can also go that route. So like know your strengths, know what's what. And if you don't, find someone that you can like, that'll help you like build that out. Because once you know that stuff and more about yourself, then you'll be able to take that whole thing and make it into something that like is fulfilling and feels good and is right. Otherwise, you'll just be kind of like spinning your reels and feeling pressure about stuff that's not really, because it's not who you are.
Right. Just there's like a million things you can do. And I think I have gotten caught up a lot in like trying to play out every scenario and like every option that I have, and then trying to choose from that and trying to like test all these different areas out. And then, and really it just creates decision paralysis. And really the question I should be asking myself is, what's the like least amount of things I need to like get to what I'm trying to get to?
Yeah.
And to like be happy and feel fulfilled and do what I love and work with cool people.
Yeah.
Less,
but that's the hard part though, right?
It's really hard. It's taken me, I mean, I've been full-time freelance for almost 5 years, 4.5 years. But even before that, like I've been doing creative stuff my whole life. And for the last almost 10 years, probably 7, 8 years, I've been like slowly trying to like hone in on stuff and like saying no to things. And it's just been like a process of elimination.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like too, though, like that, like learning new things and wanting to try new things is good. You have to have that. But it's like, try to find a way to have that like in your down season. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise you'll get nothing done. But
or like if you're trying new things, go deeper instead of wider.
Sure.
So like if you're doing like photography, instead of trying to do video or music or like design, try to like narrow in and like go deeper into photography.
Sure.
Because I feel like the more I delve into like photo and video production, the better I get at it, the more I'm aware of all the details.
Yeah.
And that like I still have so much to learn and so much room for growth that I'm like, oh my gosh, if there's this much to focus on and like to learn and to worry about in this like one field, how in the world could I be like really good at something?
Yeah.
Are really, 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 really good at like a lot of things. And it's like, it's why the people that are like the best at something, like they just do that one thing.
Specialize. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of the thing too, is it's like, you know, they say like, do what you love, focus on that, you know, and then outsource the rest. That's hard if you're just starting off, right? Because it takes money, you know, and it takes money to hire the people and all of that. So it's kind of like you become when you first start, you become kind of this just like jack of all, right? You do everything, and all of that. And then eventually just try to, as fast as possible, get out of that to where like you're doing, like spending your time on things that are going to like reap you the most benefit, whatever that is. If it's your personality, if it's your business, whatever, do those things and then farm the rest out to
So
somebody else.
do you have other people that work for you currently?
No, I
or
don't.
like interns or anything like that?
No, it's been just me.
Okay.
This whole time, which has been fun because I'm also a perfectionist / like hands-on with it. But having worked through Christmas Eve and Christmas Day this year we have some plans to bring on some employees, like an editor, bring on a social media manager, things like that. Like, I hate those things. I love editing, but like a wedding is such a large body of work. It takes so much time. So the goal is to bring on a few folks, have them work for us, do some stuff like that. That way I can do free to do other things. So many other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how you handle like marketing stuff and like taxes and legal stuff.
The legal things like
business
uncle.
filing and structuring things.
Yes. So, man, that is business. Like, I think everyone should spend as much time learning about a small business as you can, reading, like be as passionate about business as you are about photography or whatever it is. Be even more passionate about it.
If you're going to be a freelancer,
get in the business.
Yes. Like you have to do the business side of things.
Talk to people, ask questions. I mean, unless you're just like make it and you have like, like you just strictly take photos and you have like a business manager, but that's not many people. So yeah, do that. And then I say that for me, like I have a bookkeeper. She's great. She takes care of all of that because I'm the worst at that stuff, like the literal worst. So I've had her, she's been with me for about a year now. It saved my life. Business-wise, tax-wise, it's all really confusing. So it's like you're better off hiring someone for that stuff. I know it takes money, but like in the end, you'll end up saving money. I feel like by hiring a bookkeeper or hiring someone to do your taxes, CPAs, things like that. Especially if you're growing, especially if you're making lots of money, there's different options you can file as S corp, all of that. That'll save you quite a bit. And then in terms of what was it? It was taxes and
that's just like marketing or advertising.
Marketing, yeah. Instagram, Facebook. I mean, Gary Vee preaches it. He just says put your money in it, all of it there.
Tell your story.
Yeah, put it out there. And so I think those are great medians, but I think too though, that's a great catch-all, and you can be very specific and spend some money and get a lot of traction for that stuff. But I feel like the biggest returns are going to come from, especially if you're trying to create a boutique experience and get to know people and all that. Like you can go to, like find people in your town or from different, wherever it's at. Like if there's people you're going to work with in West Coast, East Coast, whatever, find people and reach out to them and connect with them, whatever, and just find ways to like, say, hey, listen, like I love your stuff. I want to work with you, whatever. Do that. I think that's the best way, especially for weddings, because at the top, the main thing there is going to be wedding planners. Like that's your in. That's your end, and it's amazing, and they're great to work with and all that. But find those people, reach out, and then honestly, SEO, like research that stuff. Google's great, like get in there. The business, like I used to hate it, and now it's probably my most favorite side. I spend a lot of time researching a lot of that stuff now, trying to get better at it and learn more about it. But yeah, get into Google. I mean, and get weird with it.
Yeah. So what is like, what are your like top 3 or top 5 or top few like or like channels of marketing that you find most effective, whether it's like word of mouth, search engine SEO, search engine optimization, Facebook, Instagram ads, whatever else.
Yeah.
Email marketing.
Yeah. So for what I do, which is very wedding specific right now, blogs were a great source. Now they're just so saturated, it's not that amazing.
Like wedding blogs?
Wedding blogs specifically.
Like submitting to wedding blogs.
Yes, okay. Submitting, having them featured. Featured's great. You can get lots. Your clients love it. If your wedding's up there, everyone is into it. You can get some traffic from that. Certain ones are better than others, but it's kind of waned away a bit from that. And I feel like the biggest thing you're going to do, like most of my clients find me on Instagram, from hashtags or from locations I've tagged or just featured page. But Instagram has been, these days, it's my number one source of inquiries, Instagram.
That's pretty awesome.
It's great. Yeah, I mean, people find me from all over the world on Instagram, and it's
That's
amazing.
crazy.
Yeah,
Because I've not had that experience with my stuff, but that
yeah,
just kind of goes to show how like a lot of that stuff will vary depending on industry
yes,
and what you're doing
right,
tremendously.
right. For weddings, especially like hashtags and things like that, people, I mean, like brides pop on there. Pinterest is probably my number 2. I don't use it as much as I should, but like that is like brides be loving Pinterest.
Do you actually put media dollars behind any like ads or anything on any of
I
those
haven't
platforms,
yet.
or it's just organic?
This year we're launching a business together with my brother. So it's going to be the two of us. He's doing wedding films. I'm doing photos still. It's called the Brothers Martens. And so with that, we're going to, because we're starting from scratch on Instagram with that. So we're going to put some money in there to advertise and build that up and get back out there. But my page, I have a lot of followers, mostly photographers. Which again, like that's who I was geared to, whether I knew it or not. I didn't know what I was doing about it, but it's mostly photographers. And so, which is nice and great. And I get lots of likes and high fives and pats in the back, and I book a lot of creatives weddings, but again, that's not my end all be all, whatever. So it's like this new account's to be much more focused on like, I don't really care about epic. I care about meaningful to the bride and the groom and people that want to book. So it's just a massive perception change, but, Facebook and then Instagram will be putting a lot of money into that this year to kind of see what's going to happen there. So,
Okay.
yeah.
What else do you want to talk about? What do you think we
Man, I mean, I think that in terms of business and in terms of, I think figuring out yourself and who you are, which sounds kind of like everyone says like know yourself, whatever, but like spending a lot of time in different ways, reading, journaling, getting yourself centered as a human being will only take your business to the next level, because like if you're in a healthy place, everything from inside's going to flow out. Like, so for photographers and videographers and creatives, kind of like what you create is how you see the world. You know what I'm saying? So if you're seeing the world from kind of like, a tough place, it's hard to like that'll show, right? And so I think like, not that that's bad, but it's just kind of like, spending time on you, finding time to like learn and educate yourself. That's been my biggest kick this year, was to find time for myself to educate. One day I was just like, I'm so busy, I'm not learning anything. Like I'm just like making these repetitions over and over again. You know what I'm saying? Like you just get in a cycle and it just keeps going and you're like,
what am I doing?
I'm doing
Like,
nothing. Things are good and things are moving, but like I'm not going anywhere. Like
what
nothing's
for?
Right. What is this? And so I think that educating yourself. And so, like I'm creating a morning routine. So most of us,
I've been doing that the last few months. It's
yeah,
nice, dude.
it's nice,
Like
right?
a little checklist.
Yeah. What's your morning routine like? Tell us about it.
Well, so it's changed since I got a new puppy a few weeks ago. It's changed because
What's your puppy's name?
Sai,
Nice.
and I have another dog named Gwen.
You can't see Sai, but Sai's right down there. Down there.
He's chewing on a bone right now under
Yeah.
the table. But so the first thing I do in the morning now is take them outside. Because he has to use the restroom a lot more often than Gwen does. She's a few
Yeah.
years older. But before I got him, I would probably wait an hour or so before I took her out, and I had a little like routine that I would go through where I had like, there's a couple of like email newsletters that I'm subscribed to, kind of like meditation type emails, contemplative stuff that I would like read first thing in the morning just to kind of like get my mind in that headspace first thing. And then would typically like get up, grab some water, use the restroom, kind of just try to just start moving for the day, get waking up, and then usually make breakfast, which I try to have some like fruits and vegetables and like just like really raw stuff to like get the first good stuff in the system. And then I try to do some like, I try to spend like 10 or 15 minutes doing some sort of like meditation or prayer or just kind of reflecting on myself and working through stuff that I've been dealing with, just to kind of like build myself up and because I've been coming out of a really dark place the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And so having this like routine has been really nice. But I mean, basically I would do that and spend like a couple hours where I had like the whole morning was like a couple hours long of like just kind of getting going. Like I'd stretch out. I've been working on learning Spanish using the Duolingo app. So I would like sit for like 15 or 20 minutes and and to like roll through that first thing in the morning, try to like read a little bit. Like I've been reading 4-Hour Work Week recently. Usually try to be reading at least one business, like marketing, psychology type book.
Yeah.
And then also I've been trying to read like 1 or 2 like religious or spiritual type books.
Yeah.
Kind of sacred texts or whatever. Yeah, it's been great, man.
Yeah. What time do you wake up? Is it kind of the same? Does it differ?
It's typically the same. It's usually between 7 and 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
At the latest, I'll set my alarm for 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Like that's sleeping in. If I could like have my preference, I think I would probably go to like ultimately I'd like to be able to be going to bed like starting to wind down around 9 or 9:30 and in bed by 10 or 10:30 and up out of bed no later than like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Because in that way I have like I can spend like a little time getting going, get ready, like sun's up.
You don't feel guilty.
No, dude. And just like
so early.
It's great. It's like I love getting up early in the morning and getting going. It feels so good. And then especially if you can get going quick, like earlier in the morning, and then like by the time you get done doing half your stuff, it's like noon.
Yeah. And
you're like, it's like 2 or 3 o'clock, and you're like, wow, I have like so much time left in the day.
Yeah. Mine starts at about 5:30, so like that's
Yeah. I mean, I would love to. I just haven't gotten to that point yet. Partially because some of the stuff I like to do and the people I like to hang out with runs it later into the night.
Yeah. But that's the thing too, though. Like it's not like you have to find like what your morning is and what feels good to you.
That's right.
Yeah. Because like I like start working at 7, so from 7 to noon is 5 hours. And once I realized that was 5 hours, I was like, this is great. By lunchtime, I've worked 5 hours. I can work 2-3 more hours. I'm gonna be done.
Yes.
I'm not, because I'm a perfectionist, so I work a lot longer. But I could be done and it'd be great. And so I think finding a morning routine is great. Like becoming like the whole idea of being of working for yourself is great. It sounds great, and then you realize that you still have to have structure. You still have to structure things because otherwise, like, you just kind of free flow and maybe that works. But like, if you want to like hustle and get things done, you kind of have to build some structure.
It only works for so long.
Right.
There has to be
I mean, it's great for a long time. Like,
you have to treat it like a business. There's no
Yeah.
business that runs and sustains that doesn't have structure.
Right. Yeah.
It's like trying to build a house with no form, no solid anything. It just doesn't work.
There's a few great books about this stuff that I like kind of built my morning around, and one of them is The Artist Way. And so it's kind of like has you like doing like artist states. Read it; it's amazing. It's just kind of like about like helping you to kind of come into a creative space and zone in the mornings too, and then also Miracle Morning. Both like really great, easy reads, but like I built my morning kind of around that.
Okay.
So.
We'll find those and put links to them in the show notes.
There's one more book too, and I always
out.
forget the name of it, but we'll add that. I'll let you know what that is too.
Whatever that other one is will be in the show notes, vaycasey.com/freelance Friday. And like 15-second, 20-second takeaway.
Nice. Yeah.
What is?
Oh, from me to y'all.
Yes.
I think that I would say, just get to know yourself. That I think is the key. Get to know yourself, get to a healthy place, educate, hustle, but like at the end, like enjoy what you're doing. Like ultimately enjoy what you're doing. Like know why you're doing it. Spend a lot of time on the why for no matter like for everything.
Yep, I agree. Where can people find you online?
Instagram, of course. Instagram is Bradford Martens, and then our new handle is The Brothers Martens.
Okay.
And then Facebook's the same. Website's the same. If you have questions, shoot me an email on this stuff. I mean, I'd love to help out with anything. If you guys have questions about stuff, how to do it, how to not do it. I know lots of how to not do's as well too. Been in it for a long time.
Yeah. We'll have all that stuff down in the show notes.
Cool.
vaycasey.com/freelance Friday. Thanks so much for coming on.
Love it. Yep.
Thanks so much. Don't forget to follow on social media. And if you found this episode or any of the show helpful, if you'll please help others learn more and find out about the show by leaving a rating and a review on iTunes.
Leave me a really good
one
on the show.
Wherever you found this, yes, leave Bradford a good review.
Really good one. Yeah.
Thanks so much, and see you next time.
Thanks, y'all.
Freelance Friday is a Vaycasey production. Vaycasey is a full-service video production company based in Dallas, Texas. Vaycasey. Big video production value, freelance agility and scale.